recording on the video. It's going great. And then we get a little audio here. Great. That's ready to go. All right, here we go. It's happening. Oh, I got to unpause. There we go. In 3, 2, 1.
I, Lord British, welcome thee to the quest of the Avatar. Thou shalt guide our people into the new age of enlightenment.
Ultima VI への道、9月20日、旅立ちが始まる。
Yeah, it's weird.
That was unexpected. So that's a Japanese ad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wild.
I don't know why that's so funny to me, but I absolutely love that ad.
I don't know. I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't either
know.
when I saw it. It was weird. Hey, you guys, welcome to Play Retro. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Johnson, and I would like an appointment with Lord British, if you please. Oh, you say he's busy trying to fly to the moon? Fine. I will spend, instead, my time playing Ultima games at a very large isometric-like angle and enjoy the RPG innovations as they flow over me one by one. Oh, that reminds me. How did Origin and the Ultima brand do after being acquired by EA? My eyes! My eyes!
Oh, yes, and I'm your other host, Brian Dunaway, and this fortune teller is asking me some very uncomfortable questions about my virtue. Consider this. The dude happens upon a mysterious Ren fair and just wants to leave post-haste. Do I, A, punch the smug lady in the face for pride, or B, poop my pants and be escorted out for humiliation? I choose B. Oh, hi, Lord British. I messed my britches.
Yeah.
I'll see myself out.
Yeah, get out of there.
You have no honor.
Some of you are like, oh, Ultima. They're talking about Ultima. Well, we're not talking about Ultima 1.
Consider this.
Yeah, consider this. We're not talking about Ultima 1 through 3. We're talking about 4 through 6, which by many people's recollection is the meaty part of the games, right? That's the place you wanted to be.
It's the Age of Enlightenment trilogy.
Right. Whereas the early stuff, a little experimental and kind of really janky and hard to play and all that. Those games, that's Richard Garriott in his basement making those games. This one's with had a little bit of help, had some team and had some, stuff going on that was more than that. And they're also the ones that people mostly point to as the classics before things got to Underworld, which is my favorite. Oh, wait, not Underworld. What is it? Ultima Underworld.
I thought it was
That's
Underworld.
It is Underworld.
Last week? I think we said that the same exact conversation last week. So
I
thought you said Underworld was it, but
I don't know why I keep doing that, but I mix it up. But it is Ultima Underworld, and that was awesome. That came out in 92 or something. Had a Doom-like 3D engine, and
you are forgiven, as there is a million Ultimas.
Oh yeah,
a million.
He went crazy with the Ultima toward the end there. The 90s were Ultima time. Anyway, we're going to talk about those. Before we get to it all, though, we're going to talk about a couple of things. I played this game called Symphony of War. I don't know if you've heard of it, Brian. Maybe you have.
I have not. That is interesting. Is it kind of a World of Warcraft kind of thing? What is it? Symphony of War.
Okay, so Fire Emblem, the classic Fire Emblems, mostly the ones you would see on GBA and Super Nintendo. Well, I don't know if the Super NES had one or not, but they make modern ones too. But the Fire Emblem series in general, which I'm a fan of, Symphony of War is like a modern take on that, but also a throwback in a lot of ways. And it's on Steam. It's relatively cheap and is very good. So if you miss that kind of gameplay and you want to kind of go back to those basics, but also there's a few innovations in there. The way they do, instead of having single unit battles, you're kind of in a squad. So instead of you just being a guy with a sword, like in Fire Emblem, you're a guy with a sword, but you also have 2 archers that back you up, and you have a healer in your little tiny squad. You're represented by a single dude on the overmap, but when you get into a fight, these squads kind of play out a little bit more like you would expect from what are the 2 they remade this year? And they took forever because of the Ukrainian thing. Advance Wars is a little bit more like that.
Advance Wars. Oh yeah, Advance Wars.
Yeah.
Oh my, yes, we got to talk about that too.
Yeah, we're like
forever because of a war.
Yeah, because
I just want a game.
Yeah, you want to play. You want to play a game? How about some more? Let's do that. Anyway, this game is very good, and I just think retro players would like it. It plays amazing on the Steam Deck, so it's a really great place for that. Very good game. Plays a controller or keyboard and mouse. Yeah, it's very good. Brian, what did you? Oh, I was going to say one other thing. Something else I learned this week. I wanted to share this with you. So, this sound. Let me play it for you real quick here. All right, you know that sound. It's from Mario.
Love that sound. Yes.
Yeah, it's a Mario sound. Play it one more time. When you stretch that out, keep the pitch the same, but stretch it out to see what it's constructed of. This is what it actually sounds like. That is this. Is that crazy or what?
That is crazy because the other one sounds totally like you would hear in just some random NES game. Play that again one more time. Did you do that? Did you stretch that out?
I did.
That's awesome.
Let me do it again. Here's the stretch out. All right, and then here's the crunch. Crazy.
Holy smokes. That is amazing that they took something that was already there, they sped it up and created this almost new instrument sound. That is
Isn't that
wild,
weird?
Scott.
It's totally wild. How about this one? Here's another one for you. So you know this sound. Going into the pipes.
Yeah.
Right? In Mario.
Yeah.
Here's what that is when you stretch it out.
Wow.
So you get 3 of those. And then when you shrink it up. Is that crazy? So it's not like they made it's not like they made sounds. They took other sounds, mushed them to make a sound. In other words, the compressing of another sound, which sounds more like music, makes an actual audible, like a thing that's super recognizable. You hear that sound now and you go, oh, it's freaking Mario going on the pipes. You just hear it, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
Genius.
I was
Genius,
tempted.
Them creators of content back in the 80s, always finding a way.
Yeah, I was inspired by this TikToker who was doing it with some other stuff, and I thought, well, can I do some of those? So I went and did a couple.
I can do stuff. Look out, TikTok.
Look out. I have things I can do. Screw you, TikTok. Brian, what did you get up to this week in the retro space world?
Well, I did something I didn't think I would do. I was just I was just looking at some retro news earlier this week, and I noticed that someone had released this game preservation website called Hidden Palace. It released a prototype of a game that was never released called it was just a Daredevil game for the PS2. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a look at this.
Daredevil, the Marvel Daredevil, like the Marvel one, right?
That's right. The Daredevil Marvel game, not some Daredevil on a motorcycle or nothing. No. Daredevil, blind lawyer Matt Murdock in his red outfit with the double D's. The double D's, Scott. Yeah. So this game is freaking cool because I was like, oh, I haven't got the new Spider-Man on the PS5, but Daredevil's got kind of a Spider-Man vibe. He's small town goodness. He's got his little stick, and he can launch little things so he can fly through the air. You see him in the street scenes where he's flying through the air and stuff. This game does that. Allows you to play it. I played a little bit of it. PS2, a little ganky, very late game prototype stuff. I put a link in the next to my description with a video if you want to do that instead of showing the Daredevil pose man.
The T-pose. You don't like that T-pose there? Not a big fan of the T-pose?
I love that. He's got the Michelangelo man pose. Man pose.
Look,
it looks like he's getting imported into a 3D application so you can put some skeletal work on him so you can make it move around.
This is an actual game. This is crazy to me. I didn't know this was a thing.
It was a prototype game that was never released. It got axed because I think Marvel didn't like what the developer was laying out. They didn't think it was consistent with the game. But see, it's got the Marvel intro thing. I don't know if they added that or not, but the game preservation Hidden Palace has a freely available. I grabbed it. It's a lot of fun for some gank. It had a lot of potential, in my opinion, because I love the world of Daredevil.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Great.
Why am I enamored with a guy who's blind but has X-ray vision so he still can see?
Well, it's not X-ray, but it's like
and he's got ninja powers.
Yeah,
he's got ninja powers, right?
His sight is a different thing. It's like a heightened. The combination of all his other sight stuff almost is like sonar, so he kind of can get a better look at people. Although they keep changing the way that works in like comics, TV shows. They're not very consistent with it, which kind of bums me out.
No. Look at this in between artwork that looks very much like comics that would have been out around the time of the PS2. It's a good looking prototype. I can't believe they just threw it out. They just threw it out, baby.
I don't like when stuff gets thrown out. I wish they would hold on to these things.
No.
And this would have been right around the time. Was this around the time of the Colin Farrell movie? Or not Colin Farrell, sorry. Ben Affleck.
Oh, no. The Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Was that right?
Yeah. Farrell was in it. He was a bad guy. He was
Right.
Bullseye,
But he wasn't.
yeah.
He wasn't the Daredevil.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would assume so. PS2 era. So, and it's really cool because you're showing on screen right now one of the powers he would have, where you could go into like this predator vision thing, but it was where you could see like his own heartbeat, or you could see the things that were happening around him. So it's kind of like almost this transparent view. It's pretty cool because you would encounter some bad guys, and you would do your fighting, kicking, punching, hitting them in the face with your little walking blind stick.
Yeah.
And then you would like, okay, where's the next people in town that need help? And so you turn your sonar vision on, and you would detect, some old lady going, "Oh no, don't beat me up!" And you'd run and you beat up some bullies. I never made it to the Kingpin.
Yeah.
But
well, the Kingpin is. I saw him in the video, so he is in there. You could get to him. You can play to him.
He's in there somewhere.
Okay.
Right. I'm assuming.
All right.
I didn't make it that far.
Yeah. I didn't.
It's a little short. It's kind of a shortish little prototype, but totally worth checking out. Hidden Palace is the website, game preservation site, and it was like about almost like a 1.5 gigabyte download. And I guess nobody else was. I don't guess a lot of people are hitting it because I just click and it downloaded directly from the website, and I'm like, all right, and I played it.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. Our recommendation of the day for weirdos who like Daredevil.
A real game, and then a game that was never released.
Yeah.
Do it. I like prototypes.
Dude, prototypes are cool. It's you get to see how the sausage is made a little bit,
Yeah.
Or you get to see, or at the very least, you get to see. Well, here's the thing that got killed. Why? Like, what is it about it?
Yeah.
It didn't work. Was it purely a sales thing where they're like, well, Daredevil's not a big property enough. We don't think it's going to be good. Or is it something more technical? Or is it something more gameplay related? Like, I don't know. But I love that stuff.
I just don't think it was related. I don't think it was too much related to the movie, just because it was Daredevil, Man Without Fear, and they used a bunch of comic illustration. They didn't use anything likeness of any of the Daredevil actors or anything. Plus, it was the PS2 era, so
yeah.
I think it was just a little standalone thing.
Yeah, don't forget Kingpin was
on.
what's his name? Who died too early?
Ving Rhames?
No, the other one. The other one.
No?
The one that's a lot like Ving Rhames. He talks a lot like him. Why can't I think of his name? Hey, boss, I got a mouse in the Green Mile. What's his name?
I don't know, but do it some more. Give me some more.
Hey,
what else did he say? What else did he say in the Green Mile? What else did he say?
He says, "Hey,
give me some more from the Green
boss,
Mile.
I'm walking
if
here.
you give me some more from the Green Mile, I might be able to remember that it was Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael
Clark,
me a little
bit more.
Freaking Duncan. Gosh dang it! I love that guy. I'm sad he died. He shouldn't have died. He died too early.
I had to. If Ving Rhames hadn't died, what am I thinking?
No, Ving Rhames is fine. He's still got the meats.
Yeah.
He's still doing
fine.
Arby's. He's fine.
Yeah, those great deep voices, man.
Yeah, I know, right? You always have a job even after your acting chops. Maybe you're just too tired or you're getting too old or whatever. You can still do the voice. Still do it.
Right. Yep.
Look at Keith David. That guy rocking it with his voice.
Yes.
Okay, that's going to do it for that. Let's dive into our main topic. Let's talk about Ultima 4 through 6.
Shall we play a game?
We shall indeed. We're going to talk about the so-called Age of Enlightenment trilogy, so-called by the creator of the series. And that includes Ultima 4, Quest for the Avatar, Ultima V, Warriors of Destiny, and Ultima VI, The False Prophet. I ended up not being able to get much to run very well for me, so I ended up playing the NES version of 5 a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Or not NES, sorry.
No.
Was it NES? I thought I played it. I played the Sega Master System version of something. Don't remember what it was. No.
You probably did. So the Sega Master System, the Quest of the Avatar, came out on the Sega Master System years after the first Apple II, which was the first to be released. By the way, all these games released on almost every platform, and they had kind of a cycle where they would start at the Apple II, especially during this era, move on to DOS, and then slowly make it out to different consoles like the NES. Also, the Commodore 64 and the Amiga would usually find its way kind of wedged in between all of that. And when I was talking to people on Twitter and other social media sites, or X, whatever it is now, it seemed that most people were had it on DOS and then NES. And I had very few people I actually talked to that had the Apple versions. I don't know if this is not the people that I'm really following, or I don't know. But anyway, it seems like most of the people's memory of it is from the DOS. And you can play this if you get it off the good old games, where it's free right now. You can get it free. I think it's always free, actually.
Is it?
Ultima 4, Quest of the Avatar. However, runs in DOS box. and
It's not great.
It's
okay.
It's not a great experience.
Well, I couldn't get it to
unless
run
you're
at all,
really
which is why I ended up with this Master System ROM, because it would not run worth a poop for me on DOSBox. So I gave up.
Yes, it is difficult, but like Scott said, if you're looking for one of the best experiences and you want to emulate it, Sega Master System's easy to emulate, and it's one of the best versions because it's one of the later releases, and they put all the good stuff in that thing.
Yeah, it's tweaked up a little bit. Here's a bit how 4 sounded. Do 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 do, and it gets more rocking later. Like, oh yeah. The one thing I learned about this game and others like it in the Ultima series, they're very repetitive on the music side. Very repetitive.
Yes, and if you played it on the DOS, you would have had no music.
That's true.
Until later on, which was weird. I emulated it on my Mr. FPGA, which we've talked about in the past, hardware emulation. There's a project called AO486, and Ultima 4 was on there, and I played it as original, and there's no music. It's just a couple of little chunk, 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 using your probably your speaker in your computer.
Yep.
And
Beep, boop,
not nearly as much fun as Apple II, who had it first and had music.
Yep.
Which I don't get. But
and we haven't gotten into this yet, and we will a lot today because that's kind of the big story. Richard Garriott is the creator of this series and is a bit of a loony dude. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, he's kind of a genius, but he's all over the place. I think these days he's still pretty heavily involved in, like, he wants to go to Mars, he wants to go to the moon, he wants to do all this space stuff. He got to
his dad was an astronaut. I didn't know that factor until
I did know that, but I don't remember it being. I remember being surprised that he was so into space, because I was like, well, wait, are you or are you not, like, really into fantasy? Because that's all your games are about. He did try to make a space game, a space MMO, in the
that didn't work.
Mid-aughts or early aughts. It did not work. Right, it was a bad deal. What was that called?
There's a couple of failed projects. The early version of our friend Richard Garriott is pretty good. He really blazed some trails, but over time he became, and this is just from a third party perspective and someone who hasn't done a whole lot of research on him, but everything that I've watched so far, it appears that he's kind of went from being, visionary to being more like a businessman. It seems more like he's gotten into the business part of it more and more of the years, and I think maybe the pressure of trying to having success early in life, and this is all speculation, having success early in life, very young when he did the Ultima series, when he first started, I think leads sometimes to some really hard expectations later in life to create something creative, and it's kind of hard to control that. So you have to be in the right place, right time, and it kind of gets really hard. And so this most recent game was using a little bit of the NFT stuff and everything, because he was thinking that's the next step. Of course, they all fell through, and that's a problem.
I don't think so the way I did a little reading on that, the NFT project he was currently working on, he was more of a figurehead. He wasn't really actively involved in design or creation of the thing. It was more like, we're going to pay a large sum of money to have Richard Garriott's name associated with this, which is fine. A lot of people do this. It's just that the NFT thing took a shit, and they're not that game.
And everybody that was attached to it made them look very bad. Right?
Yeah. Nobody wants to be involved. The floor literally dropped out from underneath that thing, and nobody wants to be involved in NFT-based projects anymore. So I don't think we're gonna ever see anything like that. I found the game that it was a 2007 Tabula Rasa game, which had the girl, I can't think of her name all of a sudden, from Fifth Element. What's her name?
Talking about Lilu
Multipass. I can't think of her name. Anyway, she was.
By the way, it is my favorite part of every show that me and Scott do is listening to him try to figure. What was the lady's name in the thing? And I'm always like, do you mean Mila Jovanovic?
Is it Jovanovic? I think it's Jovovich, isn't it? Or what is it?
I don't know. I
like Jovanovic. I'm going with that from now on.
I wanted to channel Randy just a little bit. Lilu, multipass.
Nice. But he's got other games under his belt that were kind of impressive in their success. Lineage is one of them. Lineage 2, also a big success. He was executive producer of both of those games. Those were MMOs. Ultima Online, very influential. Came out right around the time that EverQuest, it may have beat EverQuest actually to the thing. Ultima Online Second Age, that was a year later. And since then, it's been a little spotty. Not a lot of stuff. City of Heroes, he was involved with, although he wasn't super directly involved, but was involved. That's an awesome MMO. I love that game. City of Villains, Tabula Rasa, Shroud of the Avatar, Forsaken Virtues. He was creative director on, and this new thing, Iron and Magic, is the NFT thing, and that looks like it's defunct. It's not going to happen. But long time in this business. 79 was his first game, and here he is still, kind of banging away, which is kind of cool. But let's talk about this game itself. So this game is very early version of a lot of what we're playing today. When you hop into Skyrim, or you go play an MMO, or you go mess around in some kind of turn-based RPG or something, a lot of that road was paved with a lot of his ideas. And his ideas were inspired a lot from Lord of the Rings, D&D, Super Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, right. Philosophy classes, stuff like that. Yeah. He was really into it. So this game, this stuff kind of came out of that. And he's clearly one of the most passionate figures in gaming. That dude went from, basically he's a teenager. And he's like, I want to do this. And he just did it. He just, sheer force of will, made it happen. Right? And kept making it.
And he is, by the way, if you didn't know this part, he is Lord British.
He's the guy.
That's his character. That's his avatar somewhat in the game. And he lives that. That's what he's known as.
What do we call it? There's a word for that when people are the thing that they wrote, and it's
avatar.
Mary Sue or something. What is that called?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there is a term for that. Is it not Mary Sue?
Sometimes it's kind of negative, but it's something like that. I don't think it should be taken as a negative here, but he sort of saw himself as the ultimate be-all.
I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's fine. 2018, he went to a GDC conference dressed as Lord British. That wasn't that long ago, and did a big old thing at GDC, which apparently was a really good talk. People are super into it. So I think he's earned the place he's in gaming history, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's just a question of whether or not his eccentricities, is that the word?
Right.
They're pretty renowned, The guy's a little bit of a whack job, and it's fine.
It's a good thing because he thought differently, but he was also reactionary. So Ultima IV, Quest of the Avatar, was actually a response to something that was going on during the 80s, which was Satanic Panic, and a very conservative movement to, not political conservative necessarily, but just in general, more people going, we've got too much violence in our society right now. We've got too much, maybe the occult's a little bit too front facing. People were concerned, right? So they were pushing back against things like Ultima 3, which cover box had, kind of a scary looking cover box. And a lot of games were going towards that violence. And we were coming out of the gaming crash of 83. And so he was listening to people. And so he decided to put in some moral choices in character development over combat and conquest, which had been pretty much all RPG up until that point was, fight the big bad guy and here's the evil, and you can be evil in the game and still win the game. He wanted something with moral choices and character development. They poured that into the Ultima IV, and it ended up really changing a lot of things of how we think about gaming, especially with RPGs, and how your actions can be revisited upon the character later in the story. So that's one of the biggest things that Ultima IV brought to the whole scene of RPGs, and it's a huge impact.
No doubt. There's very little argument you could make that he did not have a big impact on the industry. The biggest sadness, though, of his impact, or of his entire presence in the business and the games he produced, was ultimate. He ultimately sold the Origin name and his games and his rights, all this stuff, to Electronic Arts. Electronic Arts,
which is
summarily shit all over it and has never done anything good with it since. So,
man, if you want to, and even before he did that, there's this great story between EA and Origin and his hate and him putting characters of people that he disliked in the storylines and kind of poking them and prodding them in the Ultima series. And it's just funny that he had this working relationship with these guys, but inside it was eating him up, which, you know, it was just one of those things. And so he expressed that in the games, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
this week while I was trying to learn everything. We haven't even talked about the game itself.
Yeah,
Ultima, so interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Ultima 4. So, okay, Ultima 1, Ultima 2, Ultima 3. They're all Ultima games, and they're all set in these worlds and have very common threads. But it felt like it was a soft reboot a little bit in 4.
Yeah.
Would you say that feels,
1, 2, and 3? Yeah. You didn't have necessarily a clear thread. There were attachments and things. With 4, they tried to make the world larger, and they also tried to unify everything. So they started going, hey, we need to have like a Marvel Cinematic Universe before a Marvel Cinematic Universe, and make everything kind of tie in. So there was a couple of years they took a little break between 1, 2, and 3. After that, they took a little break and said they refocused everything, and they came back with Ultima 4. And if you were lucky enough to get some of those early game boxes and stuff, you would get the cloth map with that thing. You get the Ankh, you know, that cross with the hoop at the top, and you'd get some great journal stuff. And
remember cloth maps, dude? Cloth maps were so cool, man.
So cool. And the only thing is, I was trying to figure out, once again, I never played any of this back in the day. This is just me reading stuff, watching videos, and going, oh shit, that would have been cool. Yeah. I've never touched one of the cloth maps, but it looks really cool. The good old games version, you can download a whole bunch of extra stuff, and it'll have the maps and everything in there. But digital stuff is not cool as real stuff, in my opinion, lots of times. And
no, I mean, we're very much in a digital time now, but I do miss that. I miss manuals. I miss, you know, tangible stuff. And they often, you know, games these days will sell like collector's editions, and they'll include more physical items and stuff. But the fact that you used to be able to buy one of these games, a standard edition of it on a shelf at a software, etc. or something, and go home and open that up, and in there was a big old cloth map of this world. You felt like you were invested in the lore and the places and the locations. It was just awesome. I love it.
And maybe somebody remembers, but when the map I opened in from Good Old Games was all written in runes, you know, kind of like Lord of the Rings kind of things, where you have to translate it. You get a little book so you can read through and figure out what the runes are. And I'm like, I don't want to decrypt everything. This game right away, this game is wild, because the character creation is like nothing I've seen before, because you get through, you basically start one of your questionnaires. I'd never seen anything before this in the lineage. I've seen it used many times since then, but the character creation is not pick a character, you know, pick your stats, roll your stats, whatever. No, you go to a Ren fair of sorts, and a fortune teller there ask you a bunch of consider this questions, and you answer this way or that way, and based on that you get placed in one of the 8 different classes. I think I ended up one time going too soft, and I ended up being a shepherd, which was really weak. He had a staff.
Yeah,
I'm not doing nothing with that.
You
thing.
got like sheep
and then
power.
Another time,
that's it. You don't want sheep power.
Right.
You need something more than that.
I don't want sheep powers.
Yeah.
So then another time I went a little more hardcore. I got a paladin, much nicer.
Yeah.
You know, I got you know, the Ralph Mouth from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon paladin guy, you know, in this game. So he's got a sword, does a little more damage.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. All tile based too, by the way.
Are you saying Ralph Mouth because he's got red hair? Is that your deal? Is that what's going on?
No, Ralph Mouth is the voice of the paladin in Dungeons
Wait
and Dragons
a minute,
cartoon, right?
Is that true? In that cartoon, that was Ralph Mouth?
Yeah, Ralph Mouth from Happy Days.
That actor, whatever his name was, something Best or whatever his name was. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, totally. I remember that correctly, right?
You probably. I mean,
you
know more about
Mouth,
it than me.
Happy Days now. So, because it's Don Most.
Oh, that's Donnie Most. That's him. That's totally him.
Yeah, Don Most. Let me make sure that's the right voice. But yeah, I'm almost 100% positive he's the paladin.
Wild.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow.
So learn something new every day. But I met him one time, by the way.
Donnie Most. What was the deal? What was the circumstance of that?
Oh, I met Aaron Moran, and Don Most, and Anson Williams.
Yeah.
That would be you know, those guys from Happy Days.
The nice guys.
And they were all they're nice, great guys. It was all at Dragon Con. That was the year I talked to Billy West, and we got those Extra Life sound bites from Billy West, who does a lot of voice acting. And I got a chance to talk to Don Most, and I asked him, I said, would he like to do one? And he's like, no. And I was like, cool. I think Erin Moran actually did one for us. I can't remember now.
I think she did too. I got
I think
that
Erin
Billy
Moran did
West
something
one. You
for
want to hear it? I have it right here. Let's play
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Hey, this is Billy West. You're listening to the Morning Street.
Oh, that's a newer one. Hold on. You got me these old ones. Let's see if I can find it here.
Oh, so old.
No. Hold on. Is that? Hand me down. No, that's Adam West. Where the hell are those? I still have them someplace. I don't know where, but I have them. Anyway, Billy West. Never changed.
Yeah. Eric was the Cavalier. He was the Cavalier.
Okay.
That's essentially a paladin, right?
I mean, they're on the Cavalier drives a horse, right?
Right.
I don't remember.
So close enough.
I don't remember.
Anyway, not to get too far into all that, but yeah. So I'm having a lot of fun with Ultima IV Quest of the Avatar. So much so that I end up almost playing it exclusively. And I definitely downloaded all the updated stuff so that I could get the music in the DOSBox version, because without the music, that would drive me insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's not nearly as much fun or immersive without the music that was in the Commodore 64 version. By the way, a lot of people said they played the Commodore 64 version. The graphics are, in my opinion, were not as good as the DOS version, the one I played, but they had the music. It has the SID chip. That's freaking amazing.
Sure.
And it was really good.
Real quick, the spiritual successor to this game, and I think even 5 and 6, is a series of games made by a company called Spider. Is it just Spider's Games? Hold on. Crap, I got to find their names.
Spider Games.
Anyway, they still do this sort of weird pseudo isometric view. It's all still kind of crappy 2D graphics, but they make brand new releases using all of this older looking, game engine.
Yes.
And they're amazing. They're really good. They're turn-based. They're RPGs in the sense that we're describing here. There's tons of story. I got to find it before the show's over because they make amazing games and they're worth picking up.
What's your take on... So we play 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Before we get through talking about all this stuff, I'm going to end up saying that 6, if you've never played any of the 4, 5, or 6, 6 may be the most modern. I know that sounds stupid, but it really, it's like leagues ahead, because they start using more like the Scum engine, which is a lot, more like point and click, and instead of having to use a text parser where you type in things, and actually there's not even much text parsing in Ultima 4. It's mostly hotkeys on a keyboard to interact with other NPCs, and then from there you may use a shortened code for text parsing. Pretty short. Anyway, what do you think about the tile-based type gaming that's in Ultima 4, where you literally have to go? Each turn is counted by like a arrow key stroke. It's like, I want to go east, and you hit that key, and then you have to hit it again. And sometimes all you're doing is you're scrolling the words east.
Mm-hmm. I'm fine with it. It's a very old school method, but really it's based on D&D, right? Like it's like here, this is turn based. It's faster because you can quickly move around with a bunch of keystrokes. It's not like hard. And a lot of the early roguelikes, including Rogue, the original Rogue game, were a lot like that too. You move, the rest of the world moves along with you. Time passes as you move. And in D&D, it's the same thing, right? Especially in combat. It's like, well, I'm moving 3 spaces closer to this guy, but he has also moved this many spaces toward me. And if he's at range, he can shoot something at me from this far because I'm now in range, and it took that many turns to get there. Like, they really do adhere to the fundamentals of the tabletop experience of an RPG. And funny enough, we're now living in a booming era of this same stuff. You go play Baldur's Gate 3 right now. You're really playing a beautiful, graphically enhanced, fully voiced, amazing sound, graphics, all that other stuff. But it's really just back to that, Right.
But really, the thing I was wondering, though, knowing what I know now, looking at Ultima 4 now, Quest Avatar, the tile-based movement did not really seem to be a factor. It made sense when I was in combat, but I didn't understand why in the overworld they would continue to do that, because there's no real day-night cycle until 5. So I was trying to figure out, because in the day-night cycle in 5, you may not encounter certain characters at certain times. Another huge step forward in RPG type play. But I really didn't understand the use of it in the overworld. It was annoying, and I was like, oh, was this just something we did and we just took it for granted?
I think we just did. We hadn't gotten good at like hiding out. I think it was important for games to show more of what was happening behind the scenes back then, or at least we thought that was important. And so games like, think of the original Baldur's Gate. That game had a little scrolling text thing at the bottom that would show your rolls based on what you were doing.
Show your roll, baby.
Because it was a real-time combat thing, right? You could pause it and make decisions, but the combat would just happen if you didn't pause it. And down below you'd see failed to hit and rolled a 20, or I can't remember how it said it exactly, but whatever rules it was based on, the D&D rules of the time, which I think were like D&D 2.0 or something.
Right.
They would show these things that would happen down below, and there was really no reason for that other than the game to say to the player, hey, we have shit going on under the hood. Here's a peek at it.
Look at this. That's what I kind of felt. I was like, it kind of feels like a leftover, like when you're programming games. Whenever I would program anything and I needed that keystroke to be represented on screen, I would leave that there as a programmer so that I could understand where any mistakes may have happened. Right. I didn't understand gameplay wise why it was important, and I kept trying to figure that out. Maybe somebody can point. I'm going to tell you right now, before we go any further, and maybe it's already become self-aware, or you become aware of it, that I only dip my toe in Ultima, and usually I feel like a pretty good expert by the time our week ends on a subject. Yeah. I still feel like a freaking noob. I don't feel like I know nothing about Ultima, so I'm going to say some stupid things, and please correct me. But like I said, it just felt kind of weird, and they corrected some of that stuff as you start playing. It didn't seem as noticeable when you start getting on the console ports, because you're not using keyboard input. You're using, you're using a controller, and stuff like you don't have to open doors. You don't have to hit K for climb up on a ladder, before you interact with it. Whereas in the DOS version, Apple, all the PC versions with a keyboard, you have to do like stuff like, it's like open, and then it says which direction open. Well, there's only one door here, dude.
Yeah. You know where else we do this though? We do this in MMOs. If you play World of Warcraft, there's a you don't have to view it if you don't want to, but there's the chat box thing down in the corner, and that's a place where you can talk to your friends, your guild, your trade chat, all that. But it also is an activity log.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that one activity log is like, you hit this, that hit you, it died, you grabbed this loot, you picked up this much gold in this one item. Like that is the same. I think it's the same exact idea. It's just that now we give people the option of whether they want to see that stuff or not.
And I guess I'm saying all of what I just said to say that Ultima IV, Quest of the Avatar, is an amazing game. However, there are a bunch of rough edges that we figured out things that we didn't have to have.
We're better now. We're better now.
Yeah, they put in everything, and then they said, maybe later on we won't do that as much. Yeah. And they didn't. So that's a good thing. But definitely feels
we are past, I think, the point of no return. Well, maybe not. Maybe there's a way this happens. But when you take something out of the limelight of its genre for so long, like EA has done with this series, and they even took the Origin name and made it into their freaking launcher name, which they don't even have that anymore. Like they're so weird about this. But they have the fans who would have been into a modern take on Ultima. I count myself one of them. I would love to see that. They've moved on. Like, even EA's moved on. They're going to do if they do this next, it's Dragon Age 4 and then 5. And Dragon Age is a much more recognizable franchise. They dropped that freaking ball. And I think that ball's done. Right. I think Ultima is a thing of the past. I don't think we ever see a modern Ultima game. I really don't.
And maybe it's too simplified, and that's the problem. Here you got some really great ideas like virtues, so that's what you're really fighting for. Here you're not really fighting against a main big bad guy like you have in previous Ultima games. You're fighting, there may be evil forces at work in the world, but mainly you're just trying to be a better person. You're trying to become the avatar as the player. of virtues. So you're trying to go through was it 8 virtues? You're trying to go through each of the virtues.
8 virtues, I
And
believe.
yeah, and you try to get better at all your virtues,
Mhm.
and you try to become the best so that you can finish the game, which is more about just, leveling up all those virtues until you're done.
Yeah,
And
the game's interesting because I think Garriott's plan was he just is so enamored with these fantasy worlds that he just absolutely wanted to create one and then iterate again and then iterate again until this place was as real as he could make it in this new medium of game development, which in a lot of ways is the final frontier of creativity, or at least it's one of the final frontiers. It's a place where we haven't fully explored. To this day, we haven't fully explored it. And so seeing somebody do something new and innovative in that place is a very exciting thing, and it drives creators. And I think he's so driven to do that the game these games ended up being less about specific goals or specific storylines or any of that, and more about, I built a world and I am doing shit in that world and I'm succeeding at those things, regardless of whether the world is super great or not, or whether it's fully formed, or whether the lore is perfect, or any of those things. That was like secondary. He wanted to build a fort and live in his fort. That's basically it, like every kid.
And this game really pushes you with the virtues and the way that they're presented to really question not just the character, but question yourself too, which is something I've always loved about Dungeons and Dragons is, it's a role-playing game. You put yourself into that character's role, and you may do things that are different than something that you might do because the quest may require that character to do something that you as a person might not agree with. This game kind of pushes you to almost be rewarded the most if you kind of stay true to who you are. Maybe I can't quite nail it just yet, but I'm starting to get that feeling. I couldn't believe that I felt so immersed in this, this pixelated, how many colors? 16 colors at this point?
If you're lucky.
The later version of the 256 EGA, I think EGA graphics.
Yeah.
That this quick little story, this kind of almost like a Alice in Wonderland, where you're sitting under a tree trying to get away from the toils of the modern life, and suddenly in this stone circle appears a portal that drops off some stuff, which is the stuff that came in your box.
Yeah,
you come in your box. You can't even play this game for like 5 minutes before it says, "Did you read the history?"
Yeah, it requires a lot. Yeah.
You mean that manual over there? No, I didn't.
Which is like kind of awesome, right? Like that's things games don't do anymore. They don't make you go and do other work outside of the world, and I suppose that's fine. But I admire this weird effort to say, well, you're in a digital wonderland. Make sure you read this book that came with this, or else you're not going to know about this. Or make sure you're
not going to know. You better rub that cloth map around in your fingers. Get invested, because we're about to ask you, some questions, and it's going to be important to what your next 40 hours of gameplay by your choices. And it was always it's kind of fun too, because I started several characters, and it was always fun after getting through with the questionnaire to hit the Z button for Zats. Because I guess S was already taken. So you look at your Zats and it tells you what you are. It's like, oh, I'm a paladin, or I'm this, or I'm that. And so at that point, you get dropped off at whatever virtue land that you're gonna start at. You immediately, by the way, it's best, I've found, go ahead and do something stupid right away, because that automatically takes you to Lord British's house, because he is the healer. In 4, he heals you. If you die, he brings you back. You keep some stuff, but you don't keep everything.
He's your respawn point, basically. He gets you to respawn.
Right. And once he respawns you. And at that point in time, you can engage with him. He'll give you some key words that you can use when you start using the talk system, which I haven't talked about at all. Like I said, I ate so much this week with this series that I don't know how we're going to talk about all the stuff that is involved in this game.
Oh, there's tons of it.
A talk system where you talk to all the NPC characters, and you can look at them. And when you look at them, you learn some stuff about them, and then you can engage with them. And if you say certain keywords, and if you know what to ask about the virtues, you'll need to get that information from these people because you're going to need to put that in your darn journal because you're not going to finish this game because at the very end of this game is a test and you got to know the answers.
Yeah, by the way, it's not a boss
about the
fight.
virtues.
The boss fight in this game,
Not a boss fight.
the final boss fight is a freaking school test. Like it is.
What did you learn?
You got to know, you got to be able to talk about the 8 virtues and your understanding of them, the application of them. You have to have that stuff freaking down and you have to answer it in the game properly or you lose. Like,
Yeah.
Straight up,
lose,
it's
go
a
back, roll again.
yeah, it's like a teacher handed you a thing and said pop quiz on Friday. It's weird. You know?
Yeah.
It's a very weird thing.
I like it. I like it. Now, I've never played anything quite like Ultima, and I see why people have been pushing us to do an episode on Ultima. But all of them kept saying, you need to do an episode on Ultima. Boy, they should have been much more specific. Like one, you need to do one on Ultima 4.
Did you ever play Ultima Online when it was out? When that was a thing?
This is my first Ultima experience, period.
I
played no Ultima.
I played Ultima Online for a while. It's a different experience. I mean, it's an MMO with a lot of early ideas in MMOdom. And there were a lot of people who love that game. And there are still people who play private server versions of it.
Right.
It's also considered, I mean, it's now, it came out the year my second oldest daughter was born. So what, 27 years ago?
Don't you feel old?
26? Something like that.
Right.
That's retro too, man. Ultima Online is now a retro MMO, whether we like it or not. But anyway, a lot of what they pulled off in that game informed the future of what that whole genre would look like, including juggernauts in the industry like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV and others. Like,
right.
They're, it's a legacy. It's a hell of a legacy that EA just pissed on and then set on fire. Dumbasses.
Yeah. I know. And poor old, I can't decide. Once again, we've mentioned his name many times. Richard Garriott.
He made a lot of money. He's fine. He made a ton of money from this deal.
Oh, you know what he did with his money? This is a great time to talk about this. So I think I might have sent you the video. I'm not sure. Anyway, he went and bought himself a big old, he bought himself a big old house, right? Yeah, I believe it was in Texas. I believe that's where they ended up, the base of operations ended up being. And it's got all these trap places. He's got all these trap doors, like secret hidden doors. He's got secret hidden doors all over the place. And it's just a wonderland of fantasy. Where did I put it at? I'm trying to find it where I put it in the notes. But yeah, he has a house and it's just, he's crazy. He is crazy. He's a crazy man.
Go read some stuff.
In a good way.
Go read about. He's an eccentric, but not in a negative. Like he's not the crazy guy up the road you have to avoid. There's probably a specific personality type that some psychologists could say that he is, and I would say sure, why not? Whatever all that is, he is. It's just
not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I think it served him. I think it made him driven. I think it made him what he was, which was a really innovative figure in games.
What do you do if you're like what do you do if your dad's an astronaut? I mean, that really makes you go, well, what am I going to do in my life?
Yeah.
Dad's been to space.
Yeah. In his case, it was make a bunch of games, make a ton of money, and then go to space myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's still doing that. He's still flying up there. He still does high atmosphere orbit stuff. He loves. Yeah. I think he went with.
He filmed a movie.
Yeah. Didn't he end up on Bezos's Blue Origin thing, like with Shatner and them?
I think they label him as is it a private astronaut or something like that,
private
or something
like astroneer
or
something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. It's like you paid your way. You didn't earn your way or something, maybe. I don't know. Or
it's funny
you're
that he
outside
didn't,
of the NASA thing. I don't know.
I'm still surprised he didn't do well. I guess Tabula Rasa was a science fiction game, but he just didn't do any other space games. Like, why does this guy not have 14 space games under his belt? I don't know.
I know it's weird because like let's compare him to a movie director like James Cameron. So like James Cameron done a bunch of underwater stuff, and so he puts that into all of his movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, we need to do more underwater crap.
Yep.
Because that's a direct comparison. But it's interesting that he was inspired by a lot of fantasy things, like I was as well. A lot of what he consumed for entertainment was things that I consumed for entertainment. So I felt an immediate kinship to the story with what was going on at Ultima 4. And
Yeah.
By the way, don't shy away from Ultima 4 because I made it sound like a pop quiz. There's a lot of
oh
things.
no
There's
no
a lot
no
of
yeah no
regular
it's got
fantasy
it's
stuff.
an amazing adventure. Just know that the final boss is maybe not what you're not going to fight a giant beholder or something with a huge eye and a bunch of tentacles. You're going to go in there and you're going to
goblins, orcs, and that kind of stuff. Yes, but there you got him on screen now. Is it in a higher balloon? He's retrieving him.
I don't know what he's doing. That's every
he doing?
photo of him in this photo search I did is all astronaut shit.
Right.
All of it.
Look at him in his captain. Why am I want to say Captain Jack? What is the British flag? The Union Jack.
Union Jack. That's what you meant. Yeah, that'd be cool if their flag was called the Union Jack. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
he's older now. He's like, I think he's born in 61. That makes him what, 60?
What? He's older than he was in 80s. I can't believe it.
I know, shocking. So I don't know what that means for where he's at or what he wants to do now, but I think he's still super involved in space. In fact, here's a recent one here. I'll put that up. That's him.
He always wears that snake necklace too. I've noticed that. I want to know more about the story of that. We talk about maybe having episodes where we talk about just the creator. Oh, he's wearing an American flag there. So he's both. He was, what is he, British born, but
yeah, I think he may have dual citizenship, or who knows. I don't know how that guy works these days, but he's a nerd. Nerd of a kind that was, in a way, he was ahead of the curve on the nerd, because I don't think other kids his age were at all interested in any of this. Like they were like, no video game. What even is it?
Well, they may have been interested, but not content creators. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
that takes a special type of drive.
Yeah, guy made
takes kind of drive that's involved with when your dad's an astronaut and he kind of looks at you at night and goes,
yeah,
what you gonna do?
Exactly. Well, let's drive on over to the V. That is to say, Ultima V, the Warriors of Destiny, which sounded like this. Oh, that'll eat your face off. Damn. Hold on. Let me turn that shit down. There we go. Here's more what it usually sounds like.
Is this the NES version?
It is.
Because
it is. It's the only one with a bunch of sound. That's the only one I can find with sound.
All right. Yeah. The Apple and the Commodore 64 sounded a lot better than the NES ports of these games.
The Apple less so, but the Commodore 64, yes, it did sound better. And we know why that is, because that thing is
it's got the SID chip, baby.
Proper sound chip, yeah, good chip. But this is the version I fired up, and it ran great. No issues for me. It was actually kind of fun. I'm so used to RPGs.
No south, east, none of that BS. This is the way.
Yeah, you just move your dude. You don't have a thing down at the bottom feeding you a bunch of text. It's just go on the adventure, kill the stuff, use your abilities, get revived by Lord British again.
Oh, is this the one where Lord British? He's not as available because they've kidnapped him. Isn't how the story goes? That I
may have conflated them. Is that 5 or 6? Because I cannot remember to save my effing life.
I think 5 is the one where Lord British. You're basically trying to rescue him because I think the different cities came together and went down to the dungeons after the story of 4, and they brought up artifacts and the compass or whatever all that stuff was that I haven't finished in-game stuff, because you actually get in this most recent one, instead of, if you got the box set, you would have gotten, instead of the Ankh, you would have got the cloth map again, or a different cloth map, and you would get is it the what's it called?
The dirt
codex.
The codex.
I think that's what you get.
Yeah,
I think you get a codex. And so anyway, things happen to Lord British, and you're back. You're getting called back in to the land of Britannia, and you've got to save the day again, but this time with your virtues again.
Yeah, get your virtues out. Start swinging those around. It's very much a follow up on 4 in terms of the systems and stuff, but cleaned up, some quality of life improvements. Little less obscure. It's hard to explain what I mean by that. There's a lot of text in 4 where you're like, why is all this here? Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Not just the scrolling stuff, but just like how you select people. There's like some dialogue stuff where you get to actually, let's see if I can get some on video here, where when you talk to people, you get an image of them and you get kind of a dialogue tree going a little bit. Oh, there it is.
I think this one, if I remember correctly, I didn't get to play this as much as 4. In the first one, you would have you would have a certain set of dialogues, and then I think this one opens up new dialogues, but by default it only goes so deep or something. I think there's some new things they did to the talk system in this one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And like I was just looking at on camera, when you talk to somebody, you get to actually see a face and have an interaction. It just is more personal, felt more story driven, more cinematic, I suppose, for its time.
And this may have just been the NES version too. I'm trying to remember if there was a lot of change on the DOS interface version. There was definitely better graphics. I think this one actually moves into the VGA. Don't quote me on that, but I think the first one just had EGA, and I think this one had availability to the 256 color palette, or that might have just been.
What was the so what's the year again on 5? 5 was
right.
The year. I don't see the year.
It's getting close. Let's put it this way: when I ran this, I was running it on an emulator that was doing a clock speed of 7 megahertz. Otherwise, if I did anything faster, it was going. The characters were moving around too fast. 7 megahertz, Scott. That's insane.
I know,
That's
right?
Too slow.
It's too slow. That's your modern day turbo button, Brian. That's what that is.
Yeah. You're pushing that turbo button, baby.
Oh, do you guys remember that stupid thing, turbo buttons? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Smash the turbo button. Like and subscribe. I loved it.
What a time. It wasn't even that long ago. I mean, it was kind of
it
was a while ago, but it feels like it was yesterday. Let's jump to 6, The False Prophet. That sounded like this. Oh.
Yeah.
What
now
do we
made some
have
real
here?
changes.
Yeah, dude. This is like the sound guy got a paycheck or whatever. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he got an upgrade here on the sound guy. They got a new game engine instead of the tile-based game engine from I think they used that one pretty much all the way up to 5, that one type of engine, but now they're more using like a scum engine. Where look at how beautiful this guy is. Thriftweed.
Yeah, thriftweed, dude. Thriftweed. That's just getting your
Thriftwood.
weed. That's getting your weed for cheap. Is what that is. Thriftweed.
Yeah. Come on, Threepwood. We
Yeah.
know who you came from.
That's right.
We know where you're going.
But look, if you're in Vegas, they have legal weed. Go to the store called Thriftweed. You'll save some money. That's what I always do. Just kidding.
That's right. At the Thriftweed store.
Yeah, but it's a big upgrade. 6 is a big upgrade, and 6 for a lot of people is the ultimate Ultima. This is the one.
Yeah.
And I think this may be the one that I played back then some of. I played online in this, and then of course Underworld. I didn't play a ton of this. In fact, I think it may have just been at the office, this computer place I worked, and somebody had it, and I was just like, "Ooh, cool."
Was it Computer Land?
No,
that was very popular during that time.
No. It was a place I worked for. It was a little custom place. We did mostly work for universities and government deals, but we built computers all the time, and how we would test them is we would play Warcraft Orcs and Humans, or this, or Diablo 1, or whatever it was, whatever year it was, and I feel like 4 got a lot of play there for some reason, if my memory serves. It's been a long time, but this is the one I remember. And also, it's the time I thought that the graphic style needed to change because it felt like everybody was about to fall over. The angle on the 3/4 view is It's just busted. It's never been right.
Is that we've seen this going on for a while now during this era of gaming. So we have a top down because it's necessitated for mostly tile type gaming. It needs to be top down, but you need to see the characters because everything otherwise looks like Gauntlet characters, right? Where all you see is like the top of the head and a couple little arms that jut out occasionally. So we're trying to see more of the character, more like how NES is really pushing design. So, but then they went with a really weird style where it's almost like they're at a 45-degree angle, and you feel like they're Batman on the side of a building, constantly trying to walk up it. It's a really discerning look.
Yeah.
It's kind of uncomfortable,
and
but
even
it fits, I suppose.
Even the character art. Here's a guy named, he's just Villager.
Here's a guy.
But Thriftweed himself looks like he's about to fall over, even in his portrait. He's
even
just
like portrait. They really invested. Well, I mean, when you're thinking about, you got to draw a character in a square, but you got to represent that he's got 3-dimension in a 2-dimensional plane. And so, yeah, I guess the only answer is shoot him at 45-degree angles, use that Z axis, and just ride him right along that Z axis. It's weird.
There are a bunch more variety of enemies in this particular game. It's noted for that, and I think that was appreciated by a lot of people.
the gargoyles and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was I like that a lot.
You know what
That
I like
was
to
fun.
fight? A
And
good
all art is
gargoyle. I
great.
like a gargoyle fight as much as the
Yeah.
next guy. Let's make that happen.
Plus, you get a lot more of the. We saw earlier. You get a lot more of the larger characters. So it's like, oh, that guy is taking up 4 tiles. He's so freaking large and huge. So which is a lot of fun. But I played this one. I actually launched this from the. You ever use Scum VM? It's a
yes.
virtual. It's a little. Yeah, it's a little emulator that lets you run Scum games. And if you're not familiar with those, a lot of point and click games. And this one is they've been working on this as part of the project. They also included 4 and 5, which I thought was odd, but it works in there. So I tried it there too, and they all run great. You just load up your Scum VM and you point to the directory, and instead of having to use DOSBox, you use Scum VM as your interface, and allows you to make some adjustments that maybe made a little more complicated in DOSBox. Not as much power, I think, but more maybe more control, a little simpler to set up. So I would suggest that if you're trying to play any of these, Scum VM is not a bad way to go. And I found that purchasing all 3 of these games at once, I think was $5.99, $5.99 on Good Old Games. You get the first one free anyway. You get 4 for free just by going over there and give me it, and they'll give it to you.
They'll just give it to you.
But 5 and 6, 5 and 6 and added to that, you got it. And then you can use that either as their DOSBox launcher, or you can use, what's it called? The XU4 project, which allows you to play the games on modern PCs. So it's kind of like a little interface that allows you to play these games, and it allows you to put in stuff like mods and stuff that allows you to play the DOS version with the Apple II or Commodore 64 music, which is amazing. It's really one of the best ways to do it. It's got enhanced colors, so you get VGA colors even on Ultima 4. And it's just a really slick, good experience, and it just runs out of the box. All you got to do is just copy your Good Old Games install folder, rename it to Ultima 4 no space, and drop it in the folder for that. Launches right up. I had no trouble at all. I probably should have sent it to you, but I didn't really discover this way of playing it until this morning. So,
that's a recent
we're a little late to tell Scott about it then. Scott, guess what? Guess what?
Check this out.
But,
Put this in the thing.
Check it out.
By the way, here's a little, I think this is the music of 5 from the Commodore. Let me check here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's way more Commodore right there.
That's it.
Yeah. Warriors of Destiny.
There's the beauty warm Sid chip. Oh, yeah, it tastes good.
Yeah, let it wash over you,
I don't know.
man.
I'm smelling it and tasting it. But
That's good stuff. There's a ton more to say about him and his games and all this history around Ultima, but I recommend people go read a bunch of that for themselves. And if you've never played Ultima Underworld, that may get its own show one day, because I love that game. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So great.
We're definitely going to revisit Ultima again, and Richard Garrett and his brother, I think Robert Garrett, and the origin story, because the origin itself is a really good story. How I think they moved, was it to either New England or Maine, or so they moved up north somewhere, and they took all of their Texas people and transplanted them because of Robert's wife, who was working in a location, was trying to get promoted. And anyway, everybody made a lot of sacrifices and ended up splitting the teams up a little bit, and a little bit of brotherly infighting. It's really interesting stuff that was going on with those guys. And I would love to talk more about it eventually, but just not enough to squeeze in this time around.
We'll get there. But if you're a fan of like wizardry or even Doom, Underworld, dude, Underworld.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Hey, do you know you could do this?
What's that?
Do you know you could do this?
What?
In the Apple II version of the game?
Yeah.
You could yell. You could do this in a lot of them. But in the Apple II version, if you yelled flip flop, they didn't put on flip flops. Instead, it flipped the tiles.
Well, back then you'd have to say thong.
Thong.
Yeah, it used to be
thong. Don't yell that.
Yeah, don't yell thong. You're going to get in big trouble. But I didn't know you could do that at all, like voice recognition stuff. I had no idea.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't yell. You would hit the. I think it's the Y button. I think it's the Y button on the keyboard, and you could yell something. So it was supposed
I got it. I thought you meant it had some.
With more
I thought you had some microphone connected thing or something like that.
No. We didn't talk about the yelling, or we didn't talk very much about the day-night cycles that were introduced in 5 and 6, other than we just mentioned it. But it's an important part of the Ultima series.
Yep. It is part and parcel of that history. Go read all about it. We are now going to dive directly into something we call Guess Our Game.
Destroy it.
Guess Our Game involves guessing a game. It is audio. It's an old audio cue from an old game from yesteryear. One of us will play one, and the other one has to guess what it is. Mine is from 1984, and I'm going to tell you right up front, we did this already. So this is a test. And when I say did this already, we did this on the Boop Show. So it hasn't been here on Core or on, what the hell is this? Play Retro. But I did do it on the Boop Show long time ago. So this is kind of a test for you to see if you can pull this one up again, okay? In your head. 84 arcade. All right?
84 to the arcade.
To the arcade. Here we go.
Choplifter.
Nope. That was one of your three. So now you're down to two.
Does it involve helicopter?
No, none. There might be a helicopter. No, I don't think so. Because where it's set, I don't think they're helicopters. That might be a hint. And also this part right here is really important. That's the part I always remember.
Sounds real familiar.
Yeah, that part I hear I can hear that. I close my eyes and I'm in the arcade.
And what year was this again?
84.
By the way, I'm having a small panic attack right now because there we go. It popped back up. Okay, never mind.
What
The
happened?
show notes went wonky.
Oh.
I thought I lost all my stuff.
Oh, you don't want that. You can't have
No.
that. Someone in the chat room got it, but I won't tell you what it is. You have to guess.
Okay, so it sounds like it definitely sounds like a military game. Is it a military game?
It is a military game, sure. Totally.
Okay.
Definitely.
How many
involves-
questions have I asked? That's two, right? Have I asked two
That's
or three
two.
questions
You
already?
got two. You got a third. You can still
All
do.
right.
Turn it up.
1984, very early
84.
on.
Yep, very early.
It's this military game. Is it a it's either going to be, can't tell if it's a run and gun or if it's a shooter, a smup. Is it a smup?
I would say it is, by today's standards it wouldn't be, but it is a scrolling shooting game, yes.
Okay, scroll shoot. Okay. It's not, is it 84? We did it before Commando, maybe? Something like that.
That is your third and final answer. Let's find out if that is correct. Nope, it is not correct. That fart means that you got it wrong. Let me tell you what it is.
Too much noise there.
Tondrago said, well done. He got it in the chat. Tonda's always pretty quick on this stuff. 1942 is the game. Developed by Capcom.
1942. Okay.
Yep. Capcom game from 84. An amazing World War II shootery thing. Still holds up. Fantastic game. I love 1942. They had follow-ups that were like 1943, I think.
Yes, I've played so many of these. I don't know why I didn't get that. I knew it sounded very familiar, but
Let's see.
I do know why I didn't get it, because I was panicking because I don't know what the crap.
Oh, you got that roll button. Man, that game was great.
Roll button.
It was real
so
good.
It's
Yeah.
on my Ambernick. I occasionally start it up because it's one of the first things that pops up.
Yeah, dude, fire that
Because
shit
it's
up.
like it's the numbers. It's the numbers at the top of the list.
Yeah, you got to fire it up. Oh, yeah, that's the other advantage it has, right? In our listed world now, we can always get to it quick because it starts with numbers. All right, there you go. I win that round. Let's see if I can win this one. Brian, tell me about your game.
Okay, so the game is Genesis 1995. And,
Genesis. Genocide.
Genesis 1995, a little later. Oh, I know what it was now. Okay.
Oh.
Jeez, that was scary. That was scary.
All right.
I literally, I had it written down in a note, and it literally got deleted.
Oh, that ain't good.
And I couldn't undo it. I couldn't undo it.
Yeah, but you remember it
So,
now. You're good
yeah.
now, right? You're good.
I'm good now. I had to go to my YouTube history,
Mm.
and luckily, I found it.
Well, there you
That
have
was
it.
scary.
This is Brian's.
I don't care for
will,
that one bit.
No, you don't like that. Let's play it, see if I can get it. So it's Genesis 95, right?
Would it even be a suck my game if I didn't forget what it was?
Suck my game.
Yeah, suck my game.
Suck my game, suckers. Arr. Oh, is that a pirate? Arr. All right, my first of 3 questions is 95.
Boy, is that not Genesis as F?
Oh, hell
yeah. Listen to that.
I think I know this. Is this okay? Well, let's do this. Do the usual. Is this based on a popular film or TV or otherwise IP?
Yes, an otherwise IP.
Okay. Is it based on? Is it a film based on a movie?
So this IP spreads across many mediums.
Okay,
how about
so
that? I'm going to count that as your first. I should have just told you that first time, so I'm not going to count that second question because I probably misled you. Because when you were asking it, I was like, "Ooh, yeah, it's spread across many mediums." So this IP across very many mediums.
I also P across many
TV,
mediums.
movie, and very medium. Yeah.
Okay, so across many mediums. It reminds me of Paperboy for some reason.
Oh, it does kind of have a paper. That little that instrument sounds like Paperboy, doesn't it?
Which I have that right here, I think, don't I? Where is that Paperboy? Yeah, this thing.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds a lot like that.
I love that. Genesis 95. Was it okay? My next question. So I have 2 left still. Questions.
Correct.
Sega published.
Sega was it was published. Yes, correct.
By Sega.
Published by Sega. Yeah, in combination, developed too in combination with.
Okay. Is it a side scroller?
It is a side scroller. Is that your third guess?
Yeah, that's my last. Damn, dude. I don't know. The music's too jaunty to be that weird dark one I was thinking of, and I don't know the name anyway. Is this going to be wrong. I'll just say it. Is this Castle of Illusion?
Oh, that's really good guess, but absolutely give yourself a.
Oh man, here's the fart. What is that?
So you're listening to Garfield, Caught in the Act.
Oh shit! I never played that. Is it good? How is Garfield Caught in the Act?
It's pretty fun. I played a little bit of a side-scrolling platform game, developed and published by Sega.
Was it originally? Is it based on the movie, like the Bill Murray thing that came out?
No, this is based on the comic strip. More like it's actually based on the Saturday morning cartoon. I think is when this one was. It was finding its legs.
Really? That's interesting.
Yes.
I knew it. It sounds still right now sounds familiar, but I still don't think I could say it was Garfield. I don't know why I know this. Maybe it's because it sounds Genesis as all hell and back.
It's so Genesis. A big old touch from the Sega teams, right? You can definitely feel it.
Yeah.
I actually was looking at. I was thinking about. I was like, oh, last year we did because I was trying to think ahead to our Christmas special time and stuff. And Garfield speaks to me at Christmas time between the Garfield Christmas special, the Garfield toys and books I would get as a kid. And I was like, oh man, is there enough Garfield retro games that we could do a whole show on? Yeah, there is. And this is one of them that caught my attention. Garfield Caught in the Act.
Did it do okay? Like sold well and
it received it did okay. It was it wasn't, it didn't blow it out, but it was okay. It was mixed reviews.
He hates Mondays. It's got a thing with lasagna.
Yeah, he hates look, if you like, it's a non-exceptional side-scrolling platformer is fine, but if you like platformers, it's okay at this. And if you like Garfield, sign me up because it's got two things that I love.
Did you play that kart racer that they made not too long ago?
I did, and I actually that was pretty good. I actually liked the Garfield.
You thought it was good.
That's
Okay.
actually really
that surprises me because I would have thought it was trash, but what do I know?
No, it's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah.
But once again, it's hard for me not to enjoy. If you just have a basic kart game and it's just a competent kart game,
Yeah.
and then you throw in the mixture of who I like with it, you got a winner for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winner, chicken dinner. Here's the thing, too.
Yeah.
Both of us deserve this. We lose. It's too bad. But don't worry. There's always next week. Speaking of things that we do all the time,
Tonda remembers, by the way, in the chat room, killing it for 2 this week. Maybe we should make Tonda come on and do the guesswork.
Did he guess it?
He didn't get it, but he does remember, followed up. That's right. The first level he starts in is that graveyard. And that was the one that I originally captured audio for. But I was like, man, we just finished Halloween. I don't want to cause any confusion with that. So I went to the second one, which was pirate based.
Tondagosa should send us our candidates for Guess Our Game, and then each of us will.
Yes.
You talk to us separately, but you send us suggestions and say, stump Brian with this, stump Scott with that, and then we'll go record all that and make it happen. Because you sound like an expert.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this right here.
Welcome
to the treasure room. No aliens.
East.
We're going to do a quick email. This is an email that we got from Paul. And just to tell you how you get stuff to us, playretroshow@gmail.com, or you can text us at 801-471-0462. That same number can be used for voicemails, so please keep those coming. Paul says this: Hi, Brian and Scott. Love the show. New patron, so going back through some of the older pre-show episodes. Would love to see an episode on the Might and Magic games, either the RPGs or the turn-based strategy games, Heroes of Might and Magic. The original RPG was one of the big early RPG series with Wizardry and Ultima, and they are great games. Thanks for the amazing show, Paul. A big fan of everything you've said. Wizardry, the original Wizardry stuff. Oh, they've got a remake of the Wizardry thing out right now.
I think they do, yes.
Wizardry. Am I thinking of the wrong thing?
Wizardry. I think you're right.
It's called Wizardry Proving Grounds. It's on Steam and other platforms. Just came out in September. It is got good reviews, and it is a 3D remake of the original Wizardry, I believe. I want more of this stuff. I love this stuff. I love dungeon crawlers where you scooch up one cube at a time or one square at a time. Love it. Big fan.
I do want to play some Might and Magic games. Agreed. And I'm trying. It's one of those games where I'm like, did I play this? I can't remember. It definitely looks like I played something like this, but I'm not sure if I've ever played the Might and Magic games.
Did you ever play Heroes of Might and Magic? Those games are pretty great as well.
Those all feel like I recognize all the names, and I've read reviews and stuff for them, but I'm trying to remember if I've actually ever really gotten into any of them. Like if I have a favorite, and I can't really think of anything. Dark Messiah. Might and Magic, maybe did I play some of that one?
Well, you might have. The best one, I think
I played that one.
Of the Heroes of Might and Magic series, my favorite is 3, and they have an HD remake, not remake, but an up-res, a remastering of 3 that came out in 2015. So it's been a few years, but this thing, it's only $14. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, this is great because they got full widescreen. You got everything that made 3 great is in there. That's an awesome one. But there's a ton of those, and most of them are available. Like even the old stuff, you can just get them. Yeah. But we should. I'd be down with it. Let's do it.
I am down with it. We might want to put a little space.
Oh yeah, we'll put some space.
In this, but
yeah. We don't want to talk about Wizardry or Might and Magic right after Ultima. That's a bad idea. But I think it's a good idea, Paul.
We'll get back to it.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of which, our next discussion / episode is going to be all about comic video games. And you might say to yourself, hey man, Spider-Man 2, the amazing. No, it's just Spider-Man 2. Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
PS5 just came out recently. It's fantastic.
I was just trying to remember if it had a weird name, but anyway, that PlayStation 5 game is out and very popular. The 2 previous games are on PS5 and also on Steam now. And
we're not playing that.
No, we're not going to play that. We're going to instead look at the stuff that Image Comics inspired in the 90s and maybe early aughts.
Yes.
So we'll talk about Spawn, the Demon's Hand, Wildcats on the SNES, Danger Girl on the PlayStation, Scud, the disposable assassin.
Scud.
Hell yeah.
People have told me to play some Scud, and I'm like, all right, I'll think about it, and yeah, let's do it, because I'm having a nostalgia moment recently for some reason for those those Image comics during the the 90s and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, what a magic time independent comics were.
Oh, it was amazing.
During the 90s.
It was such a cool thing because it was also a lot of drama. You had McFarlane and Lee and all those guys leaving and just dumping Marvel on their ass and going, fine, we're going somewhere else. If you're not going to pay me for my work on Venom, I'm leaving. And then started up all this other stuff. And, mixed results. Some of it's throwaway and kind of garbage now. But I loved that era. And they made color happen in a way that the other two big, DC and Marvel were not currently doing. Like, they kind of changed the business for the better. And to this day, Image is an amazing independent place to get your comics made.
It was such a wild thing during the 90s with them. A lot of amazing artists leaving huge places like Marvel and DC, setting out their own. And then turns out it's not really, it's really hard to make a good comic, but it's even harder to build a business that can sustain when things start to go south a little bit. And a lot of those indie comics kind of had a little trouble as things wax and wane with the popularity, whereas DC and Marvel can weather that kind of stuff. They're huge. They're not gonna, they're fine.
And you got people like Mark Silvestri. You got people like who created who created Deadpool and Cable when he was at Marvel?
That guy.
The one that draws terribly, did that horrible Captain America chest shot.
Captain America. Yeah.
It's a freaking name. I can't think of his name.
What's his name? It's Captain America drawer guy.
Yeah, that's
his name.
The name. That's totally the name.
Yeah.
Does the chats have it? They probably have it.
Yeah.
Liefeld. Rob Liefeld. That's it.
Liefeld.
Say what you want about his art, but he invented some really amazing characters and did the same coming over to anyway, all that stuff. I loved it. Max, you remember Max, dude? Max was so good.
I love that. I love the Liquid TV spinoff thing they did on MTV cartoons. That was so freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was on Liquid Television, wasn't it?
And everything's rad, man. I miss being rad.
I miss rad things too. That was cool because I forgot the artist's name, but that was an Incredible Hulk guy. And Max was next level stuff, man. I love
Max was totally bulky.
Yeah, I was into it. And Jim Lee, freaking legend. Now over heads DC, but the work he did there was great. Anyway, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the games of that era. That's the important thing. The games, the retro games of that era. That's what we're going to do, and that'll be next week here on Play Retro. I'd like to thank our patrons for joining us. We got brand new folks since the new month rolled over, like Sonor Gonzo, Eric Holm, and D-Man.
Oh, hi, Eric.
Yeah, I like D-Man. D-Man's a good name.
I'd play a video game called D-Man.
You probably have.
I would play that.
You probably played one.
Yeah,
you just don't know it. I'm trying to think if I ever played anything like D-Man. I did play a little. What's
D-Man.
that? I forgot to mention it, but what's the Sega one where the guy's made out of balls? Something Man.
Vector Man.
Vector Man. I loved Vector Man 1 and 2.
We're going to Vector Man has been on my list for a very long time for us to talk about Vector Man.
Yeah, let's get to some Vector Man. Anyway, big thanks to these 3 new fabulous people, and also thanks to everybody who supports us over there. You want some rad monthly benefits as well as pre-show content every week and no commercials ever? Time to sign up at patreon.com/playretro. Brian, anything else you'd like to say before we go today?
I don't know if I have another 120 hours to finish my Ultima experience, but I'm gonna.
Don't worry, the teacher will demand you turn your test in at the end
Pop
of the
quiz.
day. Yep, pop quiz, mother effers. I hope you paid attention. That's gonna do it for us. Thank you for listening. Go play something retro, and we'll see you next time.
Get more at frogpants.com.
Lord British welcome thee.
Lord British welcome thee.